So in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get started. I know Councilman Shields and Rose both were able to attend the chamber event and can probably help finish the sentences for me if necessary. But the state of the city is excellent. This year's State of the City is titled "There's Something Special About Medina." That's the theme throughout it. I'd like to thank the council members and the department heads that are lined up here, because it's really what makes Medina so special is the collaboration and the synergies that we have between the council and the administration, and as well as outside of the city, working with the other groups. The photographs that you'll see throughout the presentation, the graphics and the photo work are the result of Miles Reed, and I want to give him special acknowledgement for that. He helps me out greatly with I have the words and the detail, and he kind of builds the program around there. So it's called "There's Something Special About Medina." If you look at this next slide here, that's our county courthouse. The city of Medina was founded in 1818. That particular the older section of the Common Pleas Court was built in 1841, and on the left-hand side is Disneyland in Anaheim, California, which was built in 1955. And we're going to come back to that in just a second. This next slide shows the city of Medina, downtown Medina on the right, and Legacy Village on the left. Again, Medina founded in 1818, Legacy Village in 2003. Legacy Village is located in Lyndhurst, Ohio. And when you look at the two of them together, you see there's a uncanny resemblance of both Disney and Legacy Village, trying to mimic what we have already naturally here in the city of Medina. And again, there's something special about the city of Medina. So one of those things is the quality of service to our businesses and citizens. And I find it's easier, those things are difficult to measure, but if you talk about what's actually going on, then it makes the most sense. So for this presentation, to keep it within about 30 minutes, we're talking about changes within the past year. So in 2015, fall of 2015, we improved our leaf routes, that instead of having the 3 trucks go from zone to zone to zone collectively, we decided to put a north truck, a south truck, and then a floater in between to hit the heavier areas. We found that was recommended, by the way, by our staff that do the LEAF program and plan the routes. And it caused quicker responses. The trucks made more loops than they could under the old program. In fact, one resident was concerned because they were raking their leaves on Berkshire in Ward 3. When the truck went by, thought they'd have to wait another week or 10 days. Our driver and crew knew that they were out there working to get them out to the curb, and instead of waiting for the next round, went back and picked them up before they left the area. And again, just the quality of service to our residents. Another example is the South Elmwood Apartments. This is at 135, 145 Lafayette Road. In a 22-month period, at the corner of Lafayette and Court, we did a study and it had 122 police calls, 7 felony arrests, 11 misdemeanor arrests, and 6 minor misdemeanor citations in a complex with only 12 apartments. Some were in the apartments, some were in the parking lot. After some continued pressure by the city, both the building department and the police department, the complex was put up for sale. It was taken over by the Gershbacher Group in October of 2015, and then grand opening was on March 4th of this year, and it's a totally different complex now as a result of them taking it over and improving the quality of life down there for not only the complex but the surrounding area. In October of last year, a Lakeshore Walk resident was out planting grass seed in his tree lawn when one of our water employees stopped to ask if everything was okay. He thought that attention to detail from one of our employees was pretty amazing. We had another resident in March of this year call to report a pothole. The very next day, he sent another email to tell us that the pothole was already repaired, and that's why they love living in Medina. In July of this year, I was standing by the glass doors leading out to the parking lot, and I was talking with the sheriff about the collaborative grant that council approved us applying for. And a local contractor by the name of Chris Sawicki had been in our building department, went over to finance to pay for his permit, and was going back outside to get in his truck. And he stopped the sheriff and I in our conversation and said, you know, I hate to interrupt. He said, but I want to tell you, Mayor, what you guys are doing here works. He said, from the time I walked in the door, filled out the paperwork, got the permit, paid for it, and I'm leaving with the permit, it took me 6 minutes. He said, I've got a permit for the same thing in Seven Hills, and it's been over 3 weeks. I'm still waiting on the permit. An example to you that what we're doing is working. And then last but not least, August 25th of 2015, in a Gazette report about the chamber redevelopment, Dr. Lauren Raymond was quoted as saying, of all the places he had developments, Medina is by far the easiest and friendliest administration. They are excellent people here. I mean it from the heart. So what we're doing is making a difference day in and day out. Community friendly and business friendly, myself included. We try to make all of our department heads accessible to the public. We're willing to stop what we're doing and meet with people with or without an appointment, and take care of whatever their needs are. Unusual to Medina, again, something special. We offer free parking. We have some time limitations in some of our lots, time limitations on the street to try to turn the cars over, but most cities charge for their parking. We don't. In January of 2015, as council's aware, we took over the residential and commercial plumbing inspections, and in 2015, we issued a total of 141 permits. And then we also improved the fire staffing in 2015 and continued in 2016. We used to staff during the day with 3 firefighters plus the officers that were on duty, and then Montville and the city collaborated together to add a second shift from 4 p.m. to midnight, and we're sharing that 50-50. That's improved response times, both on medic calls as well as fire calls. Quality of life in our neighborhoods, in our homes, in our neighborhoods. We established the senior snowplow program. It's been growing each year. The very first year we started with 39 participants. Last year we had a total of 69. We expect to have something close to that as they're coming in now. In April of every year, the first Saturday of April, we do a program called Love Medina, where the senior snowplow recipients are sent letters, and local churches will go out and do some yard work for them or painting or whatever. And that's very helpful for the seniors to keep them in their homes and keep their homes looking the way they'd like them to. Sometimes they just can't do it themselves. Knowledge of results, letting people know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, or if we can't do it, is very important. Those pictures there, the one on the far right is the McDowell Phillips house on South Prospect, where West Washington Street dead ends into there. And the lower one on the left, the reason I thought that was important to share with you is the owner of that is Bob Gura. And Bob was from California when the East Reagan Apartments, Forest Meadows Apartments on East Reagan came up for sale. And he bought that apartment complex. He's done a great deal of improvements, landscaping-wise, construction-wise. And he was so pleased with the complex and the city that he actually left California and came to Medina versus staying out there. Not sure that I would have done that, but He really loves the city of Medina and is in fact looking for other complexes to take over and do similar things with. Our business community is very vital here in the city. Many of you have taken part in the ribbon cuttings and the grand openings. We do those collaboratively with the Main Street Medina and the Chamber. I also use it as an opportunity to review with them the city processes. You know, we're trying to do the best we can with permits, with inspections, with all those different things, but by all means, if there's any problems. And at that point, you know, they've got their occupancy. There's really no reason for them to hold back. I can tell you generally without a doubt that there have been no issues whatsoever, and they're very pleased with how they were treated. We use that Medina Coalition Brownfield grant with the surrounding 4 townships as well as Chippewa Lake. And when we did that grant, it was $1 million grant. If you recall, council authorized us to apply for that. And what they look for is a 1 to 2, a 1 to 3 return on that. So a $1 million turning into $2 or $3 million in investment. And I'm happy to report to you that at this point, and it's still growing, we had almost $12 million in new investment, a 1 to 12 ratio, and over 121 new jobs created as a result of that $1 million grant. In 2015, we installed the 2 permanent water connections with Medina County for redundancy. Council authorized us to do that. And the North Court, we have equipment on reserve in case we have to do that above ground attachment there, which gives us greater redundancy then. Made in Medina County initiative was organized by our economic development director, Kimberly Marshall. It started in January of 2015. There were 3 city chambers and the County Economic Development Committee. And the very first one, they had 700 guests and visitors, including 250 of the local students. In 2015, we had $11 million, more than $11 million in commercial construction projects. Those are private investments where they come in and file for a building permit, and they have to estimate the cost of what they're doing. In 2015, we added 30 new businesses to Medina, and 3 existing businesses became under new ownership. All Fasteners was one of the job creation grants that we talked about during the council meeting. And they're a company that's based out of Austria. And what brought them from Brook Park to Medina was the fiber on Lake Road was one thing. The second thing was the pro-business model. They could not get the city of Brook Park to meet with them, to talk with them, to offer incentives to them. And when they offered to look at the Sharon Stairs building out here on Lake Road, we put our team together at a conference table, including representatives of the state of Ohio and County Economic Development, and they were very interested in coming to Medina, have been very happy since they moved here. In 2015, the Medina County Economic Development Committee has annual business awards, and they issue 4 awards every year. Last year, 2 of the 4 awards were for Medina City businesses. Fire Decks was selected for business growth, and Just Mike's Jerky for Entrepreneur of the Year. In 2015, our engineering capital improvements, a street, storm, water system, and miscellaneous was about $8.9 million in city, $2.9 million in grants for almost another $12 million. And then the last 2 things I'd like to mention are on this slide is in June of 2016, we had signs erected on 71 for southbound before 3, northbound before 18, directing people to our historic district. And we'd like to thank ODOT District 3 for their help in pushing that through. And then in August of 2016, the redevelopment of the Chamber property, which I mentioned briefly, as well as our tearing down of the Masonic Temple and future plans of building a parking structure of some sort there. Quality of life in our community. Undoubtedly, the most positive comments I get year in and year out is about the flower urns and the beauty of the downtown and how upkept we keep the downtown. And I share with people that that's really not by accident, because there's only one time to make a first impression with folks, so we never know when tomorrow is going to be somebody's first day to see our city and our downtown, so we want it to look as good as we possibly can. The community government model that we converted from the community policing model is working well. Our administrative staff works as a team. Main Street Medina has taken to heart having additional and larger events to draw people to the city, and there's another whole slide on Main Street Medina. I'm going to tell you the success of that in just a minute. And I also wanted to briefly mention the Archive Commission. They opened the History Museum in the Public Square Firehouse in November of 2013, and they're averaging up almost 400 people per month coming through the museum, which is a great exposure to show our history, a great exposure of our community, and they also have information there to share about different activities going on in the city, which helps the economic viability of the city as well. Employee wellness and training. We've done leadership training and incident command training, which is a federal mandate for all of our department heads and supervisors. Just a past month or so ago, we did the cultural diversity training in collaboration with Medina City Schools for our leadership team, as well as the schools and every person in our police department, from the clerks to the dispatchers to the officers, sworn staff. In September 2012, the wellness program was established in partnership with Medina Hospital and a grant through Workers' Comp. I'd like to thank Dr. Tulisiak for his interest and his help with that. I can tell you with our staff, when you look at the numbers, we have improved health, weight, cholesterol overall, but it's also having a big impact in the community as a whole. One Healthy Medina community participant, since joining the program, walks 2 miles each day with a walker. 2 miles each day with a walker, and since she's done that, has improved her sugar levels, her weight, her blood pressure, etc. Another subject had a below knee amputation. He had not been off the couch for hardly anything since he had that. He joined the Healthy Medina program. He began walking with the groups. He's now so involved in the exercise that he's having to get another prosthesis made. So instead of walking, he can now start jogging again as a result of the Healthy Medina program. And the third example is a female who was encouraged, had never been for a screening, a health screening, and went to her very first screening, and they identified a mass and cancer in one of her breasts. And had it not been for the program, that cancer would have continued in her body unbeknownst to her. We've had CPR and AED training for all of our city employees because it's just that many people that can help out in the community when the needs arise. And as the council is well aware, the police are trained as caregivers first and law enforcement second. So knowing what to do when it counts, what you see there is a picture of the Performing Arts Center. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but the combined response of the police, the fire, and the medics has saved numerous lives in the city of Medina, and we're blessed to have the Medina Hospital that trains us and certifies us in the CPR and AED. They provided the AED at City Hall and one at the Muni Court. They provided trauma kits for our officers to carry in their cargo pockets of their pants, trauma kits in our cars to treat multiple victims. And they also implemented with the city of Medina the auto launch of the helicopter because we use the same AED that they do. So when LST gets to the scene, they can simply unplug it from our machine, plug it into theirs, electronically transmit that out to the ER, and if it meets certain criteria, then they can launch the helicopter. The person's transported right out to the helicopter and up to the catheter lab without ever going in the ER many times. So one of the saves there at the upper left there, you all had a chance to meet Dr. Steve Soraka and his family. That was on January 25th, 2016, about 9 a.m. He's doing a presentation to all of the school staff, collapses on stage. He's not breathing. He does not have a heartbeat. And our 2 school resource officers start CPR. One's doing CPR, one gets the AED. They work him until the squad and firemen get there. They continue to work him. And before he goes out to get in the squad, from that initial treatment, he's sitting up and breathing on his own, and his heart rate is going. He obviously needed some medical intervention beyond that for the cause of the heart stopping, but he's coming back to the school, I think, here in the next month or so, to continue the presentation that he was not able to do as a result of the treatment that he got. And then the last example for this slide I wanted to share with you, and I know he came and talked to council, but he was the resident that lived at 718 Guilford, and on March 23rd of this year at about 10 a.m., he has a serious cardiac arrest at the home. Chief Baraducci was there first, then some of our firemen, then some of our medics, and they all worked him to save his life. And his cardiac doctor told him that he would not have survived his cardiac arrest in any other city except the city of Medina as a result of our combined response. So I think that speaks highly to how we're training, how we're responding, what we're doing. And it's really a group effort. The Medina Community Recreation Center, they have the meeting rooms that are used for the Healthy Medina trainings, Healthy Medina planning meetings. In 2015, our numbers were a little over 9,300, 9,321. The Silver Sneakers program, which is paid for by insurance for senior citizens, in 2009 we started at 283 members. Last year we had almost 2,000 members, which is about 21% of our total membership is senior citizens on these programs paid through Healthways. And the Recreation Center also hosted the Medina Half Marathon and the 5K race. The community asset of the Medina Municipal Airport is special in Medina. The history of Medina aviation, Miles Reed put together all of those pictures in that room to show what a rich history Medina has. He also established the website for the airport, where somebody coming to Medina to visit, literally from the airport website, can book a car, can book dinner, can book golf. The airport website had visits from 44 different U.S. states and 78 countries in 2015 alone. They have pilot certification classes there, the medevac helicopter for the safety of the region in 2015. There were 410 call-outs of that helicopter. Council approved in 2015 the construction of the Jet A fuel for the medevac helicopter, as well as anybody else that needs that type of fuel. And in 2014, they built 10 new hangars were constructed, which brings our total hangars, including the maintenance hangars, to 76 there. And I believe they're all occupied. Something friendly about Medina with the business-friendly culture that we have. In this particular photo, I know many of you were there, but we ended up with 5 council members: County Commissioner Tim Smith, Senator Larry Obhoff, the Chamber, Main Street. Representative Hamley generally attends these. He was not able to make this particular one. But again, we make it very special for the new business, be it a group that's employing this many people or a group that's employing 2 or 3, because we want them to know that we're behind them, we support them. We take a number of photos for them, then we give them a copy of the disc so that they can use it for their own website and their own promotions. The senator was here for this one. Sometimes the senator cannot make it because they're in session in Columbus, but every time we have a ribbon cutting, the Ohio Senate and Senator Obhoff will provide a resolution on behalf of the Senate, and that makes our our businesses feel pretty special. Medina is one of America's best communities. We were selected as a quarterfinalist in Frontier's America's Best Communities competition. We were one of 50 selected in the Frontier Market region. In February of 2015, Heritage Ohio held their statewide revitalization training in Medina because Heritage Ohio thinks a great deal of what we're doing here. In July of last year, we had two different rankings. Medina was ranked 10th best Cleveland suburb and also ranked one of the safest cities in Ohio by SafeWise report. And in March of 2016, we were ranked 5th best Cleveland suburb for young professionals. And then in August of 2016, Renew Medina was awarded the best residential rehabilitation project in the state by Heritage Ohio. And our economic development director, Kimberly Marshall, was selected as the best public leader in revitalization by Heritage Ohio. And both Renew Medina and Kimberly are going to be recognized Tuesday, October 11th at a reception in Cincinnati by Heritage Ohio. So then there are quite a few community partners. On the far right, for those of you who may not have had the opportunity to meet him yet, is Aaron Sable, who is the new superintendent of Medina City Schools. Cornell Carter is in the center, local pastor here, very involved in the community and also on our Civil Service Commission. And on the left is Dr. Tom Tulisiak, the head of the Medina Hospital, president of the Medina Hospital, who's helped us greatly with the Healthy Medina program. Our community culture is built on partnerships with Main Street Medina, local businesses, local service organizations, the Medina Area Chamber of Commerce, Medina City Schools, Buckeye Schools, Medina Hospital, a Cleveland Clinic Hospital. So we talked before about Main Street briefly. So Main Street Medina had 13 large events in 2015. They estimate they drew in about 128,000 visitors. And if you take, on average, about $10 per person, that's about a $1.3 million economic impact on the community through consumer spending here in our community. I'd like to thank past Executive Director Matt Wiederholt for his work and his efforts over my years as mayor, and also welcome the new executive director, Jeremy Levine, who is here tonight. And I invited him to this abbreviated State of the City just so he could get a little glimpse of what all is going on here. Our square businesses are full. The new restaurant in the old Lager and Vine location is going to be opening shortly. I know they're taking applications now, and we're working on filling some of the ones on the side streets approaching the square. And last but not least, Heritage Ohio uses Medina as an example for other communities in the state to improve their Main Street program. And they use as the example the city's collaboration, the city's support, the city's help with Main Street. Council is to be commended for the regional partnerships that were created. We've had numerous meetings with the three cities for things of common interest. We've had meetings with the Medina County Commissioners, and we've also had meetings with the two school districts, Medina City School District and Buckeye School District. And I'd like to thank Council for continuing those efforts. Road improvements and infrastructure, there's no doubt that in the country as a whole, the infrastructure is in a dire need of repair. We've been doing a great job in our industrial area as well as some of the residential areas piece by piece. When we finish this last phase of West Smith from the railroad tracks by Plastipac to standard welding, we'll have all of the industrial roads done. That's about $13 million, as well as building Commerce Drive through from Branch Road to 18 to provide another method for folks to get through. North Huntington Phase 2 was just completed. And then the next large project Other than that last piece of West Smith is the US 42 widening that's going to occur. It's expected to be awarded this fall and completed in 2018. The finances, the general fund reserve or balance is down a little bit from where we were last year at about 44% of revenue. Council reallocated some portion of the income tax to help offset that draw on the general fund, help support it. We continue to get great benefits from the partnership with Medina City Schools by providing the 2 school resource officers in exchange for them providing IT services. In 2014, the city joined Brunswick and Wadsworth for a collaborative application for CDBG funding, and as a result, each of the 3 cities got an extra $50,000. So instead of $350,000, we each got $400,000. That was a 2-year grant, started in 15 and ends at the end of this year. Engineering, in addition to engineering, we had over $2 million in CHIP grants, which pays for home repairs. Also, CDBG, which pays for transit and sidewalks, ADA curb ramps. And the finance department has received a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association from 2008 through 2014, and those awards are always 2 years after the close of the books. So this is a new slide this time. It just shows the different areas of revenue. You can see about a little over 40% of ours is from income tax, and then there's a variety of sources there for a grand total of just over $33 million. I don't imagine, if there are questions, I'll answer the questions. Didn't imagine there would be any. And the last slide is there's something special about the future of Medina. That's Chris's granddaughter there, Madison. Yeah. But we just used her as a photo prop there with her mother's permission. But the fact of the matter is there is something special about the future of Medina. I think we're on the right track. I'd like to thank the council. You know, I'm very blessed to be in this position, to work with these administrative members as well as the council. And I think collectively, collectively we have a lot going for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.